So the first question was about comments from Indonesian audiences. And first of all, it's painful for me that I've not been able to be there for any of the Indonesian screenings. At the first screening, I was only able to be there for for Look of Silence, I was only able to be there for a Skype press conference. I suppose, first of all, there's outrage that people feel they've been lied to in school. And people talk about that, you know, we've been lied to. And it's recent history, because it's not just the genocide, but it's the whole order that's been in place ever since, in which still everyone knows has its tentacles throughout the Indonesian power structure. So there's outrage. There's also a lot of very emotional moments where people come forward, or people go back to their parents. It's often a young audience that sees the film first, and then they bring the film to their parents, or they tell their parents about the film. Often they then bring their parents to screenings, and then the parents open up about terrible secrets that have never been told. Many people have told me, Indonesians have told me that their parents have revealed that they or their grandparents or someone very close had been accused of being a communist and had faced being purged or had been a political prisoner. One person came to me, wrote me a letter saying that actually she grew up in a family that she only learned wasn't her family, that she was adopted after her parents were imprisoned and then killed, because her parents only opened up to this to her after she saw the film and showed the film to them. You see, I think because children of the relatives of the victims, relatives of the political prisoners, were designated officially as coming from unclean backgrounds, tidak bersilingkungan was the official designation, families would try and spare their children the stigma that came of being labeled as PKI, as communist. And so there was so many families with secrets, and people have started talking about that. And that's been very, very moving. And then I think for children from perpetrators' families, and I suppose out of the 350,000 people who've gone to screenings, many people, tens of thousands, if not maybe even over 100,000, have been from perpetrators' families. And they, I'm sure, when they see the scene with the daughter who finds the courage and the humanity to do something she absolutely doesn't have to do, because she's not done anything wrong, she's not guilty of anything. She hears her father being described, she hears her father tell what he did in detail, and she realizes for the first time that he's really not the man she's either always believed him to be or tried to convince herself that he was, and that she'll have to spend the rest of his life looking after a man who in a terrible way has partially become a stranger to her. And she'll have to continue raising her children in his home. And her face falls in that scene. And she doesn't do what I think I would do in such a situation, which is to kick the film crew out in a moment of panic and anger. She becomes very quiet and she listens to her conscience and she apologizes. And Adi has to take seriously his promise to forgive, or his offer to forgive. And on her behalf, I feel, well, he hugs her, but he also, I think, hugs the father to make it easier for her to continue with her life. And I think that scene, which was one of the most delicate and beautiful things I've ever seen, and I think most of you will have seen it in some way similar to how I saw it, but some of you will have thought she was defensive and missed it, because I know it's a little bit, or sort of seen it differently, because I know it's an ambiguous scene. That scene is so important for many Indonesian viewers. Everyone who has a perpetrator's background or knows, and often families, many more people I didn't know if they have a perpetrator in their family than if they have a survivor, because there was nothing shameful about having a perpetrator in your family. Even if it was just a kind of sort of an intellectual apologist for the killings. Someone from the Angkatan 66 who intellectually supported the Suharto dictatorship in the early years and the events of 1965 while they were happening. For those viewers, that scene with the daughter is terribly important because it makes them realize that even for us, truth and reconciliation is necessary.